How do you fall in love with a serial killer? What's the attraction? How can you look at a guy like Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, or Alexander Pichushkin, knowing what they did, and think, he's the one for me? Happy Valentine's Day. I've wanted to make this video for a while now. As you guys all know, I spend a lot of time talking about bad people and bad things. I don't know why. Maybe through this channel, I'll eventually get to the bottom of that, or maybe I just need a therapist. But today being Valentine's Day and all, I thought, why don't we talk about love? Okay, yeah, you got me. The dark, weird, messed up kind of love. I'm not talking about the kind of people that caused Netflix to post this on X, urging people to stop calling Ted Bundy hot after they released the Ted Bundy tapes on their service. No, today I want to talk about people who took things a step or two, or 10,000 steps further. Like the woman on the receiving end of this serenading serial killer.
I recall the day I first saw you.
Make sure you stick around for more on that crazy story later. So, why do people fall in love with people who do terrible things? Is it even love at all? Or is it just infatuation? And if that's the case, what's infatuating about a horrific murderer? Why do some people hear and see those same things that disturb you and me and just go,
and I know he killed a lot of people, but I don't really care about that.
And I'll be honest up front here, I don't have any solid answers for you. But I do have some questions, and I think it's an interesting topic to explore. So, let's have a look at a few infamous lovebirds. I bet you didn't think I was gonna start with her, did you? If you're not familiar with the name or the photo, I guarantee you are familiar with her bae. How do you fall in love with Hitler? I know, he's not a serial killer, and I won't talk for long about this infamous couple, but it's a good place to start. I guess one thing we have to remember is that when Eva met Adolf in 1929, the Nazi Party wasn't even in power yet in Germany. He was just an up-and-comer, on his way to potential chancellor. That's gotta come with some perks for a naive, impressionable young woman at the age of 17. Hitler, by the way, was 30. Being with Hitler probably afforded her a lifestyle she couldn't have dreamed of otherwise. You ever see any of these photos of, Hitler's vacation home, the Berghof? Gorgeous. And check out this view. I mean, that is a perk. According to people close with her, it was said that she politically had no idea. She would complain that, I don't know anything. Everything's kept a secret from me. But that couldn't have been the case as the situation in Europe progressed and the world started to become aware of his ideology. So unless she shared that ideology and horrific worldview, why would Eva want to stay? People change. If someone you love grows into a monster over time, or hides it really well for a long time, does that make things more difficult? Because you already loved them before what they became, or before discovering who they really are? I bet it does. And I know I always bring up BTK, but his wife apparently had no idea about his crimes. They were married for 27 years when he was arrested and she found out. You don't just stop loving someone overnight, do you? Can you? Is that even possible? I mean, I don't think I could. God, it must fuck you up. It's like parents. A different type of love, sure, but parents often have unconditional love for their children. Dahmer's dad stuck by his side through it all. He didn't condone, but he also didn't abandon, and he never stopped loving his son. Arthur Shawcross, this guy, AKA the Genesee River Killer, convicted of killing 14 people, including 2 children, was defended by his wife and girlfriend, even after his conviction and confession.
He is a loving human. He's not a monster.
Yeah, he was. You can't just turn off love like a tap. But how can you be so blind? I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you love me. Sound familiar? No? Well, maybe like this.
What you did, as long as you love me.
So I can appreciate the sentiment in what these very cool dudes with their folding chairs are trying to say here. I'm lucky enough to be in love. I get it. True love is supposed to be blind, right? Who you are, meaning your social status, where you're from. These things don't matter in true love. But that last one, what you did, that has to have its limitations, right? I guess not for this woman. This is Natalia Petrushkin. I guess you could also call her Mrs. Chessboard Killer. She got engaged to one of Russia's most prolific serial killers, Alexander Petrushkin. He was called the Chessboard Killer because he used this chessboard to track his kill count, eventually getting charged with 49 murders. He claims 11 more. Natalia wasn't in love with or dating Alexander before or during the murders. It's not like she found out that the man she loved was secretly living a double life as a brutal murderer. No. Like everybody else, she never heard of this man until one day when she saw his case on the news.
Александра Печушкина.
This is what she had to say about it.
Everything changed when they showed the pizza maniac on TV. It was love at first sight. In his letters, he told me in detail about the murders he committed and how it was interesting for him to turn the living into the dead.
Sounds like he could have been a romance novel writer. The thing is, though, she better hope hubby never gets out of prison. When asked what he would do if he were ever released, this was his response.
Kill a couple of people just to get rid of stress. Then I will rape my woman and drink some vodka.
A bad, bad guy. How do you fall in love with such a bad guy? It's a comment I see on my channel all the time. Girls love the bad boy. The idea of the classic bad boy is most commonly linked with old Hollywood. Guys like Marlon Brando, James Dean, Steve McQueen, you know, this kind of look. They are guys who broke the rules. But, I mean, come on, let's be honest here for a second. Breaking the rules back then didn't take much. Brando wore a t-shirt. Holy shit. Fathers, lock up your daughters. This guy is bad news. Bad boys rode motorcycles, smoked cigarettes, flipped coins. Maybe they cheated on you with your best friend. Are you really gonna compare that to the crimes of Richard Ramirez? The infamous Ramirez groupies, they had trouble making that distinction. They'd stalk the Night Stalker from court appearance to court appearance, swooning over his winks and waves. But when asked about his crimes, they never really had much of an answer. I mean, here's a couple clips.
He's convicted of 13 murders.
very out of the usual. It's very out of the norm to be able to do that for a certain amount of time and length, a period of time, and get away with it.
Brando certainly didn't get slapped with 19 death sentences for wearing a t-shirt. Let's just put it that way. Serial killers are not bad boys. Let's get that straight. Period. End of story. Then there's Christine Lee. She ended up engaged to Ramirez, but unfortunately, even she wasn't able to offer much insight into what attracted her to him. This is a clip from Lisa. That's a short-lived talk show from the early 90s.
Why do you want to marry him? Why not just have this relationship?
I don't know. It was his idea to get married.
Well, I mean, right now, obviously without conjugal visits, you cannot have physical contact with him, sexual contact.
No, it's just, I didn't like him because he was in prison or something. I don't know. I just felt sorry for him. I don't know why.
Oof, that clip, it makes my heart hurt. Further still, I did a little more digging, and there's absolutely nothing out there to back up this woman's claims. I don't know, maybe I missed it. She claimed they were engaged, but I don't think Ramirez knew that. So, I think after listening to those women, it's pretty easy just to write it off as mental health issues, right? Or attention-seeking behavior, 5 minutes of fame. Now, not to be politically incorrect, but it would be easy to jump right to batshit crazy without a lot going on upstairs, right? I mean, I thought so too. But then I looked into Dorene Lioy. This woman. While Ramirez had his fair share of women fighting over him, Dorene was the one to capture his heart. They were together, as much as you can be together with someone locked in San Quentin, since 1988 and wed behind bars in 1996. She was on cloud 9 after the wedding.
It feels wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled, very proud.
But this woman doesn't fit the mold we've been building. Dorene was a successful editor for the teen magazine, Tiger Beat. It's sort of like a Teen People or a 17, that kind of magazine. She was actually even credited with essentially discovering and making John Stamos a household name, which, by the way, kind of indirectly ties Uncle Jesse here to both Ramirez and Charles Manson. 6 degrees of John Stamos. That's something I think I'm gonna look into. I think there's something there. If you can make the connection with Manson, let me know down in the comments. But anyways, back to Dorene. How could this seemingly well put together, successful, intelligent woman fall in love with a serial killer? Because I'm running out of ideas. How could she be willing to give up her career, face public humiliation, and become ostracized by her own family, who basically disowned her when she said she was gonna marry Ramirez? How could she do all of that if it wasn't for true love? There had to be something there to love, no? Is there such a thing as pure evil? I think it's easy to fall into thinking that way. He did all these monstrous things, so he must be a total monster that sleeps upside down and eats bats. That he must live and breathe only evil thoughts 24/7. Like no heart from the Care Bears. You look at a guy like Dahmer, and he has essentially become his crimes and his crimes only. It's easy to see why. They were shocking and horrific, and they'll always be synonymous with him. But at the same time, Hitler had a dog, According to friends, privately Hitler was very nice. Bad people aren't bad all the time. They laugh, they smile, they go to the beach. By all accounts, here we go again, but BTK was considered a good dad by his daughter. They camped together, hiked, fished, She referred to him as her best friend. All the while, he was living a secret other life as a sadistic murderer killing other people's daughters. Crazy. I can't wrap my head around it. And frankly, I'm glad I can't. I'd be concerned about myself if I could. But people have lovable qualities no matter what they have done. Just ask Sondra London. Buckle up, folks, because things are about to get wild. This is Sondra London.
I always had a fantasy or a dream that the boogeyman came, and I jump on the horse with him, and like I wrap my arms around his waist, and I get up under his cape, and we fly away.
She's an accomplished, yet controversial true crime writer. So she should know better, you'd think, right? She was working on a book for sweet Danny Rolling here. But, you know, don't let these puppy dog eyes fool you. He's also known as the Gainsville Ripper. He killed 4 college students in 1990 and later confessed to an additional 4, bringing his total kill count up to 8. So Sondra was immediately attracted to him upon their first meeting, and the infatuation apparently grew rapidly.
And one of us would be looking at the other, talking, and the other one was talking away, and the other one would just go, I love you.
She got all sorts of bad press for this relationship, obviously. But Danny boy, her knight in shining armor, rode in on his white horse, or I guess more like shuffled down death row in his ankle shackles and handcuffs, came to her defense.
Regardless of what Williams has said, Miss London is of the highest caliber, sincere and honest, a woman of extraordinary talents.
Danny also did all sorts of beautiful artwork for her, like these. And in the most insane thing I've ever seen, at one of his sentencing hearings, he did this when asked if he had anything to say.
I recall the day I first saw you. I reached out to say I love you, but it was hard to say.
Are you kidding me? Can you actually believe this happened?
So tell me, baby,
Look at her face. The stenographer is typing. Okay, good. They cut him. They cut him off. Oh, wait, no, they didn't.
All my tears run together, just like rain.
Okay, you get one song and that's it, Mr. Rollins.
She must have been mortified, right? Well, you tell me, because she had this to say immediately afterwards.
How do you feel?
Sondra, what'd you think?
Kind of nervous right now.
Why?
Kind of excited.
Why are you excited, Sondra?
Because Danny loves me.
And then followed up a little while later with her own serenade, complete with music video. Check it out.
Land of the dead, there's a place they call Death Row, where all the fallen angels slowly go insane.
I am at a loss. Okay, so we've built quite the diverse profile here, but I feel like something is missing. How about this middle school special education teacher? What's the difference here? Oh yeah, that's a man. Men are capable of this too, people. Ryan Scott Anderson started sending letters to Gypsy Rose in prison. I guess it depends where you stand on that case, but still. And what about Karla Homolka, the famous Barbie of the Ken and Barbie killer duo from Canada? She's out of prison, And she found some guy to marry her. He sure as hell knows what she did. He's Canadian, and she's arguably one of the 2 most famous Canadian murderers of all time. So don't be that guy, that guy down in the comments making chauvinistic and sexist comments. Because if you really want to look at it, falling in love with a murderer is still a lot better than being the murderer. And we men have damn near a monopoly in that department, don't we? So after all of this, I can hear you saying, did we actually learn anything? Josh, all you did was point your finger at different people. Well, yeah, exactly. I don't think there is any one answer to any of the questions posed. Love is complicated. Remember, I'm here to ask questions and maybe drum some up in you. I'm no psychologist, and if we want real answers, that's probably a good place to start. Because all I'm left thinking is that maybe there's a reason the expression is, I'm crazy about you. Not, I think and act rationally about you. That's why it's the most powerful thing in the world, love. It brings out the best and sometimes the worst in us. Helen of Troy, right? Wars fought. It inspires, helps us create, makes us laugh, makes us cry, makes us do wonderful things and sometimes terrible things. But most importantly, love is more powerful than hate. And even sometimes, love can be more powerful than reason. Because apparently sometimes, you don't choose who you love, you just do. For better or for worse. Happy Valentine's Day.
Realize smoke gets in your eyes.